Fingers crossed. Who knows if it'll work? Fingers crossed. I don't know. We should do the thing. Where's the comments? Because we might get a comment. I don't know. There we go.
There we
look,
go.
we got one already. Hi.
Hello.
Join today. Where are you? Well, you got a thing.
That's all right.
That's interesting. Your phone's completely off, but you get like this bright message.
Yes.
That's
it doesn't
cool.
vibrate and it doesn't make a noise, but I usually have it next to my computer.
Oh, it's
so
right
that
on your eye.
Yeah, so that I can just see if I need to pay attention to it and I can dismiss it straight away.
Just ignore it. I know I have something I can ignore.
Well, this was a message from my husband, so that I know I can just ignore that.
Oh no.
Israel.
So, yeah. So we're joined by the one, the only, the amazing, the illustrious, Trisha Gee. How are you?
I'm all right. I think just about.
Oh,
I know
on the
I'm
mend.
I'm a bit poorly. I've been a bit sick.
Oh, it's catching. It's that time. I think if it's not sick, it's allergies.
Yeah, God, it's just terrible. And where I'm in Seville, my allergies are just really bad. But I was just in England for a week and my allergies got better. Magic.
Yeah, it's there's no trees there. It's all dead.
I know. I think it's all to do with the different types of pollen, isn't it? So in Seville, it's all tree pollen and it absolutely kills me. And in the UK, it's all like, well, where my dad is, it's all flowers and that's all fine.
Yeah, flowers are nice.
No pollen in flowers, right?
Stop and smell them if you want. Yeah, they're great. Oh, wait, what do we got this? Oh, look at that. Good evening from Dubai. Hello. Wow.
Hello.
Well, let me see. We got some people joining us here. Very good. Hello. Hello. We're excited to be here too. Actually, so where are we? We're in
Amsterdam.
Somebody's got to be here. And it's fitting that it's us. We're here for Utrecht Jug tonight. And then you're doing the Amsterdam Jug.
I'm doing the Amsterdam Jug on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I'm at Kotlin Conf.
And we're both at Kotlin Conf.
I'm not speaking. I'm just in the booth, but I'll be there.
That's even better. You
can better. I just hang out and
just have fun.
Come and say hello.
So yeah, this is, and if you're in the Benelux area, people can find you here, right? You're just in this region,
right?
So good. And I'm hoping some people. We have one amazing community member who joins us in these live streams named Simon, and he's in Belgium, which is just down the street, and he's not coming tonight. Coward. No, but that's good. So okay, so we're gonna be doing that. I don't know what the because I do these live streams. When do I normally do that? Hello from Malaysia. Hello. Good evening from Malaysia. Love Malaysia. Good stuff. Yeah, so I don't know how long, I don't know. I do these live streams 8 or 9 my time, which I suppose is 9 hours before. So 9 and 9 is 8 and 8 is 16.
3 o'clock in the morning for me.
6
no,
p.m.
It's 8 hours, isn't it?
6 p.m. Well,
no, you said 9 in the morning. Yes.
My time is 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah. So it's not even 6 p.m. This is, in order for me to do a live stream at this hour, I'd have to do it at like 6 a.m.
Yes.
Roughly. So yeah.
It's new for you to come in at this time, European time.
Yeah, because well, I mean, I've done, I think so, because I don't think I was in Europe this whole year up until now.
Although you tend to do these things at funny times in the morning sometimes. When you call me, and I'm like, what time is it there? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
But those are just audio only,
right?
And those are like I put them in the can and we use them later, right? Nobody's gonna know that I'm like, there's people sleeping, like. But these, I can't do these live streams at weird hours, and I suppose I could.
But you could, but you'd get a different market.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is that, so I do these live streams in the States super early, my time. I'm not a morning person, but that means that people from Asia, hi Malaysia, for example, can join. It means that I catch the tail end of the workday for Europe. It just means that people in the 3 or 4 time zones in the Americas might be otherwise distracted with work and all that
stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
trivialities. Yeah. Who needs that? So anyway, good. You're here. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. You and I are both at the Utrecht. How do you pronounce that word without?
I want to say Utrecht.
Okay.
I think if I was to pronounce it in the Spanish way, it'd probably be Utrecht.
Yeah, Utrecht.
But
which seems
I would say
European.
Utrecht.
You and I are as English speakers.
Yeah.
Utrecht, right.
So I don't know. We should ask them probably
before
we butcher their town name.
Poor language. So anyway, we're here. I'm so excited. We're not doing the same talk.
No.
You're doing something exciting, and I am not. What is the thing you're going to be talking about? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I'm doing developer productivity engineering. I feel a bit nervous about this talk because I haven't given it before. Obviously, it's new. It's all for Gradle and Gradle Enterprise, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. It's not really my talk.
Oh,
And it's topics that I really feel very passionate about because
Sure.
it's all about productivity and how to speed things up. But a lot of the ideas from the talk come from things that Justin Rioch, our mutual friend,
right.
has spoken about before. So this is going to be really interesting because it's the first time I'm going to be delivering a DPE talk. So I'm going to be able to get a feel from an audience of Java developers, which is my usual audience,
Right.
my usual audience, like what's resonating with them, what makes sense to them, what is a problem for them, what isn't. And then really what I'm hoping to do over the rest of this year is work in more live code and Java stuff into over time.
So I'm going to be able to say I was there in the beginning,
Right. Exactly.
and then you'll do the TED Talk later this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm sure. I mean, you've got if it's informed by his thinking on the subject, and you have the same sentiments, you're already starting off on good foundations.
I
It's
think
only going to get better.
it's going to be really interesting because Justin's been doing this stuff for a couple of years, a year and a half, a couple of years, and then I joined in the tail end of January, really first start of February. I started.
Oh, right. So that's a new thing. You're now at.
I am now at Gradle, a developer advocate for Gradle Enterprise mostly. Or technically, I'm a developer advocate for developer productivity engineering,
Right.
not for the product. So for this, I keep forgetting what the word is, practice of automating the stuff that's really painful for developers.
Right.
Doing things like speeding up build times and being smarter on how we run our tests and making CI a bit less like crazy and use so many resources and stuff. So that's what I'm doing developer advocacy for. And then Brian joined us as well just after I joined. Brian Demers. And
Amazing.
And Baruch joined us as well just after that.
So,
yeah, so it's going to be really interesting how the three of us plus Justin are going to. I think we're all on board with this idea of DPE and this idea of trying to remove pain points for developers and automate as much as possible. We've all got a different backgrounds. Like Brian's a Maven person, which is kind of cool in Gradle. I'm a Java and Java automated testing BI kind of person. And Baruch has like a sort of big picture of the JFrog thing and like I guess like builds and releases and cloud stuff as well. So what's going to be interesting is how our talks, where are the commonalities? Because we share a lot of common passions around like productivity and taking away pain points. And I think it'll be really interesting to see where our talks are the same and where our talks are different. I don't think we're going to be disagreeing on anything.
Sure.
I think our audience are going to be slightly different.
That's it, right? I mean, I don't know anybody who's against DPE. It's like you don't have to sell anybody on this. You just show them how it'll, that's sort of my situation with Spring Boot. I don't really have to sell it. It's not like it. I mean, what's the alternative, right? I just need to show people how.
The first time I saw you do Spring Boot, it blew me away because I was like, oh, right. Because people have been saying for a long time about how Java projects are difficult to get going with. Compared to some of the stuff that I've been seeing from Ruby developers and people like that. And with Grails and things, they just kind of get up and going straight away. And so when I saw Spring Boot, I'm like, that's what we need.
That's what we need.
You don't need to sell it. Like you say, you just look, I just wrote something and it works.
Yeah. If you know anything about Java, you're like, that's self-evidently the way to go. I'm doing
this thing. Why haven't we done this before?
It makes sense when you see it, but it's like, oh, okay. And Spring Boot, by the by, just for reference, it's not like we innovated all that. We've just aggregated a lot of good stuff and refined it to the point where it's useful.
Right, because I was using Drop Wizard before then.
It was great.
Which was really cool as well. Yeah. And so I think that kind of influenced some of the design of Spring Boot as well.
Unabashedly. And the Coda Hale even said, had Spring Boot existed when he created it, he wouldn't have created it. Right. But anyway, no, so speaking of memory and CI and all this stuff, John DeGoes, he's famous in the ZIO Scala, corner of the community. He had a blog that I think just dropped today, in which he talked about the need for a better build tool for Scala. He says the Scala build tool SBT is kind of a mess, and he envisages a new build tool that had A, B, and C. And he said, okay, I prefer data over code, which it would seem to be a slight against Gradle. But then he says he would support and invest in and evangelize an effort to make Gradle a build tool for Scala that and he also says, and this is what I love, he says it'd be great if there's like well understood slots to configure things like the meta space and all that, because apparently Scala builds are notoriously memory hungry, right, whereas I haven't configured memory for my Java or Kotlin projects.
No,
I don't even know where I'd have to.
Exactly.
Where would I do that? Yeah, it
just does its thing.
The idea that my build tool is going to take up that much memory, even with Gradle, even with GraalVM, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs because I haven't been here for very long.
Yeah.
But but Gradle did make an acquisition recently, which is going to help.
Is this
in-
private?
No, it's public.
You sure?
I'm just checking.
Just check.
But I'm like 99% certain. Gradle did make an acquisition.
Tom. Hi, Tom.
Which is supposed to I'm not gonna check.
You should check.
Hold on. I'm
Be
just,
100% sure.
I don't know what I'm actually Googling for. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll talk to them
You-
about
you
stuff.
talk.
So
Have a look.
anyway, this blog I was reading earlier. By the way, I hope that the sound is okay. We're using Crisp. Can you all hear us fairly well? Like we're
There we go.
being shouted down by people in the lobby here. But hopefully people can hear us. But yeah. I feel that.
Yeah.
Find it.
I can talk about this. Yeah. So Gradle acquired Triple Quote. And the idea is it's going to be to help improve build times for the Scala community.
That's amazing.
So the idea, I mean, Gradle Enterprise is kind of designed obviously originally with Gradle, but it also works with Maven to help speed up Java projects, JVM projects. But the goal is to help with the Scala side of things as well.
That'd be so cool. Like, can you imagine Kotlin being the premier destination, the premier vehicle for Java, Kotlin obviously, and then Scala?
Yep.
And I know there's like C++ and iOS and whatever. I know that's a use case that's well served.
Yeah, well, I think the Gradle Enterprise supports Bazel as well. Oh my God, I'm doing a terrible job as my Gradle Enterprise developer advocacy.
So that's just the thing, right? It's like a whole ecosystem of stuff. You don't have to.
Yeah,
You know.
I know Gradle, and I know all the stuff around DPE, but I'm not really a salesperson for the tool, so I don't really know the tool
Right.
very well.
I feel like James Ward was just reminding me that there's actually a TOML version of Gradle as well, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I completely forgot.
Because enough uses it.
Yeah, but basically it's data, not code, right?
Right.
So you can declaratively define your build, which is I think that puts to bed any concerns people had about unmitigated code sprawl and customization.
And Gradle Enterprise does support Bazel as well.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean okay? So
Gradle Enterprise supports Bazel.
Gradle I was going to say, what does that mean? So Gradle Enterprise, by the by, for those who don't know, is a software as a service that plugs into your build, it watches your build, it knows what your build is doing, and it can see optimizations. Like, for example, hey, I can cache these dependencies, or you can run these things in concurrence, or
Right. So
whatever.
it does things like build caching. So it's not just about caching the dependencies, but it can cache it outputs from the stages of the build. So if certain things haven't changed, then you don't need to rebuild that or recompile that. It can also do things like a test fan out thing, so that you don't have to so that the tests can be found out across various agents that are running instead of you having to do like a CI fan out.
Right.
You can get Gradle Enterprise to do it. And you can do things like, I don't know the words for all of these things either. There's another thing which allows it to use AI to figure out which tests you need to run. So you don't need to run all of them. So
Crazy.
it just gives you loads of build optimizations, and you get loads of visibility over your build as well. So you can see like, on these different agents, which version of Java was it using? What are the operating systems? What are the common build failures? And my favorite thing is analysis of flaky tests.
Right.
I freaking hate flaky
Oh,
tests.
they're worse. They keep me up at night.
Oh,
literally.
yeah, because when something falls over and dies, and you're just like, I don't know if it's really failed or if I'm just going to rerun it 15 times. And if it passes once, then I'm fine. And I hate flaky tests. So
Yeah.
Gradle Enterprise will tell you which tests are flaky as well.
And how to like condition. There's got to be like I usually move those to like a profile. Like if everything fails, if everything works fine, then try that and keep trying that subset in the profile.
Yeah.
That
Dave Foley has a really good video on what to do about flakiness in tests.
what does he say? I love.
Um,
by the way, that's the continuous delivery channel.
Right, which is great.
So good, so good. Yeah, who knew he had it in him?
I know.
It's just grown to be like this amazing wealth of internet information on YouTube. I want to be Dave Farley when I grow up.
Yeah, me too.
We all do. Yeah, he's great.
Dave used to be my boss, and I still look up to him so much. I was just like, look at you doing your YouTube channel thing. It's so cool.
Oh, great.
So he said something. His YouTube video had something like, God, I can't remember now either. I'm not even jet lagged. I can't remember anything. And it
It's the
was
noise. It's
it was
distracting.
4 or 5 sources, 4 or 5 reasons your test will fail intermittently.
Right.
So
Okay.
he says there's literally only these reasons. And those there'll be things like changes to underlying hardware. There'll be things like tests that are dependent upon each other, data which isn't correctly segmented between the tests, that kind of thing. So he points out those things, and it's still going to be difficult for you to figure out why your specific test is failing. But with those things in mind, you can start like having a scientific investigation into, is it the data, is it the hardware, were there some changes on CI at the same time that thing.
So it gives you a better readout, like analysis on pinning those things down.
Well, I mean, that's what Dave's video does, and what Gradle Enterprise does is it gives you the information for what happens when that test and when that test ran. So you could use that along with what Dave says to kind of perhaps figure out what's wrong with your flaky test.
Okay, that is super cool. So basically, watch that video, then buy Gradle Enterprise.
Yes,
that's the message here. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day. So yeah, okay. Gradle Enterprise is this, and then a lot of it, you said AI.
There was some AI in it.
There's AI before ChatGPT. It's the non-Skynet variety of AI. Yeah.
I mean, Justin says the proper words for what type of AI it is, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. I actually studied AI at university.
Yeah.
My degree is in computer science and artificial intelligence.
Oh.
But I graduated in 2001.
Before the computers got
Before
scary.
computers were invented.
Yeah.
So you know, my AI knowledge is enormously out of date.
It's okay. I think it's growing by leaps and bounds, and now the computers are helping themselves.
I know. Skynet wise.
Skynet, yeah, it's not great. Flaky test analysis equals less nightmares equals more sleep, which Tom Cools likes.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom. Yeah, so Gradle Enterprise is not the only thing that can help you with developer productivity engineering.
Right.
Developer productivity engineering, like you said, is the practice of optimizing your pipeline.
Yeah, like automating what can be automated, optimizing stuff. One of the things I found really interesting when I started looking at DPE is the statement that developers will put up with an awful lot of crap before they start complaining, which sounds weird because you sort of think of developers as as complaining about stuff like, I don't know, tabs versus spaces, and we get into IDE wars and stuff like that. But when it comes to things like build times, test times,
you remember the
integration cycles, like we're just like, well, you know.
Do you remember that dark period in the Java community's history called the tab troubles? Very bad time. Yeah.
Those tab troubles.
Yeah.
I wiped them from my memory.
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
So we feel passionately about a bunch of stuff which we think impacts our productivity, like IDEs, for example. But when it comes to things like the build tool chain, we just kind of put up with crap. We just put up with, it's a 40-minute build time. And you think, and you feel like, I don't really have time to fix this. But you think if you've got a 40-minute build time, let's say local builds I'm talking about, you get a 40-minute build time down to 30-minute build time. You saved yourself, do you run that thing 4 or 5 times a day?
Yeah.
You saved yourself an hour.
Yeah.
You know, you can invest a couple of hours saving an hour every day.
Yeah.
But we do get, I don't think it's lazy. We get very blind to these spots which are really not helping our productivity, you know?
Right.
And we sort of think it's fine because while that's doing its thing, I'll have a coffee or I'll check this or I'll do my email or I'll start another thing.
Right.
But this context switching is the thing that kills us.
So bad.
Like, you know what flow is like. You want to be in the flow. You want to run your tests and go, oh, great, that's fine. Or, oh, no, that broke. I'm going to do this. You don't want to run the tests and go like, well, I'll go off and have a coffee and lunch and an ice cream and come back and go, oh, test failed. I can't remember what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just did like that.
Or why I did it. Yeah.
Or was it a flaky test? Oh, God.
So, J-Rebel, I think, you remember J-Rebel?
Yes.
I don't think you can do what they were doing as well as the way they did it, but what they were doing, hello, Alexandra. What they were doing was saving you minutes in reload time.
Reload times, yes.
And they even told you, hey, we saved you this much time per day or whatever. And that number, I was like, abstractly, how much faster is this actually? But then it'll tell you, even for like Spring Boot apps, which are fast, you know, it takes a second, literally a second for whenever you reset my app. It used to tell me back then, it was like, oh, we saved you this many minutes today or whatever. I'm like, or even more. And then you think about like, oh, like WebSphere or something a little more ordinary, you know, just real, the numbers tell you a story and you're like, well, that makes sense. I want to eliminate that. I'll pay for that. Yes, please.
That's what DPE is actually really, it's a nice thing to evangelize, really, because the numbers do tell the story. You can literally take those times that you saved, times it by the salary of your developers, and hey presto, there's your return on investment.
Yeah.
Like you just because your developers, even if they're working on something else, are not effective on that other thing they're working on.
And we all agree you shouldn't waste developers' time in pointless meetings.
Right.
But we don't have the same rigor about
About
eliminating wasteful build times. You know.
build times, test times,
Yeah.
CI, any of that sort of thing.
We've got some nice messages here. My regards to the Belgian jug. I don't think we're going to the Belgian jug,
But we could.
We're just down the street.
We'll go for DevOps Belgium.
Heck yeah, let's do it. That'd be fine.
November, right?
Yeah,
September, October.
sometime.
They moved after COVID, all the conferences moved around, and now I don't know where they are anymore.
Do they even bother having it that month if there's DevOps Belgium?
Who knows?
No, right. Speaking of things that no. Well, first, let's see. What about this question? This question.
Yes. Would you say that remote dev environments are important and focus on DPE? Right. So because I'm quite new to DPE and new to Gradle Enterprise, my idea of DPE of developer productivity engineering is probably a bit broader than where Gradle's coming from. Gradle tends to focus on build and test time.
Sure.
Right? But my idea of DPE is a lot of this sort of thing. Gitpod, I think, is a really good example. I actually interviewed for Gitpod when I was looking for my next job, so I kind of had a look at what they were doing.
Gitpod, that's
So cool, because basically it's all about productivity. Let's just automate this and make this repeatable and not worry about all this setup crap. And what you were talking about in terms of startup and WebSphere and things like that, I was just playing around with and React, which I'm not familiar with React. I haven't used web technology since Angular 2.
no wonder you're still happy.
Yes, I know. But one of the things that does is it's constantly running, right? Constantly refreshing, and you just type code into your IDE, and,
Right.
and the UI just reflects what the changes that you make.
Instantly, yeah.
And that
Live reload.
is DPE, right? That's developer productivity engineering,
Sure.
because that's just using automation to get fast feedback as fast as you can possibly get it.
And why do we care about fast feedback? Because the faster we learn from our mistakes, the faster our thing gets better, faster we can make customers happy and hopefully profit,
Exactly.
in some definition of
It keeps
profit.
us in the flow. It keeps us focused on the goal, and it decreases time to market, which is good for return on investment, and it also allows us to figure out earlier on if we're going in the wrong direction for some
Right.
reason.
Go in the wrong direction? Developers? Come on. Come on.
Good enough, should it?
So, okay. So Tom tells us we should definitely do it. He's
Okay.
the leader of the Belgian Jug. So if anybody can make that happen,
We're in.
we're in. Yeah, like hackers, we're in. It's done. Good. Okay. And then what else did we get? Oh, this question. I don't know this answer. Do you? I don't even understand the question. When will we get the usage of properties interpolation into plugin declarations in the built-in? I'm assuming this is like Gradle.
I don't know what any of those things mean.
I know the word high and
I understand plugin and properties.
yeah, I don't know the answer.
No, I don't think I'm smart enough to answer that question.
And you're so new at the company. Do you even know the person that would know the answer yet?
Well, no is the short version of that, but I am about to be on the booth with like 3 Gradle build engineers.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And it's going to be a really good chance to actually meet up with loads of people and
I just-
to make people.
Maybe I'll go there and I have like 10 different questions. I keep telling people I'm trying to learn Gradle this year and to lose weight, and I'm definitely learning Gradle. And so what I want to do is get to the point where I can do all the things that I do at least once a year with Maven. Like there's some things I don't need an answer for, even though I used to do it with Maven. Like for example, cargo.
Right.
You remember using Maven cargo plugin to deploy to Tomcat or whatever?
God, yeah. See, I think that's the thing. I've not really done anything super chunky with Maven or Gradle. With Gradle, I just start with an almost empty build file, and it just does everything that's what it's to do.
Yeah.
We were talking when I was in Miami and we had that conference call. We were talking about doing a lightning talk tonight where I might teach you stuff
please.
about Gradle.
Yeah.
I just didn't have time to sort that out.
We should definitely arrange.
We'll do that.
So we got somebody coming to the Utrecht Jug.
Great.
Luca, see you there. We're in the right place at the right time.
We're going to be getting our lift in a minute.
Yeah, half an hour. We got to make that good. So, okay. So, Gradle, I don't know. There's some things I used to do with Maven.
Mhm.
All the usual stuff I can do today just fine with Gradle. The only You know, what I'm saying is there's two things. There's the things that I have done and the things that I do routinely.
Right.
I don't need to find an analog for everything that I
Right,
have done.
because
I
you
just
might not do that again.
yeah, like cargo. I'm not interested in automatically using my build to deploy to
Tomcat.
JBoss AS or whatever.
Okay.
It's not a use case I have anymore. I use Spring Boot, so it's gone, right?
Yeah.
But I do publish to Maven Central. So that's my
Right.
last, like, one of these days I'm just gonna do a live stream and just figure out how to get a Gradle build that gives me an artifact that publishes to Maven Central correctly.
I would like to work out how to do that with you.
Please. Because
I don't know how to do that at the moment. So I migrated. I used to work on a project called Morphia when I worked at MongoDB. I worked on a project called
with
Morphia
Justin?
with Justin Lee,
Yeah.
the other Justin.
Yeah.
And my kids keep getting confused. Which Justin are you talking about? So Justin Lee. And when I was working there, I converted the build tool to Gradle, and then just after I left, Justin turned it back to Maven. He was like, I don't understand Gradle. We're going back to Maven. But I did have a Gradle build on Morphia, which pushed to Maven Central. I think the MongoDB Java driver might use Gradle to do that.
I know it's possible, and there's millions. I mean, yeah.
But all I'm saying is that I would just like have a look on GitHub.
Sure.
There you go, copy paste that. That's fine.
So even the Spring team, half of our projects are using Gradle.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not hard to find. Gradle uses Gradle, I'm sure, to publish themselves to.
I would assume so.
So there's got to be a way. I just want to, like, figure it out. I've got this pom.xml that I just copy and paste. I've got all the bits in there, and that plus a password for Maven Central for the GPG stuff. Plus, I have a shell script that uses the Maven plugins to update you can use the Maven plugins to update the version of the pom.xml from snapshot to stable, do the release, then push it back to snapshot +1.
I remember doing all of that stuff on MongoDB. I've forgotten all of that.
Right. It's got to be possible. Whoever's got that well-crafted artisanal Gradle published to Maven Central build, please. And if you say there's like a plugin, I can just, like, if it's just like, here, enable this plugin, and suddenly it just brings in all the tasks you need, that along with my GPG thing would do the job, then sign me up. You know, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's simple. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, it sounds like a good project for me to have a look at.
Yeah.
My list of many things I won't get around to doing.
Yeah. Well, me too. Well, I want to get around to it. Wait, so back to my holiday. Enjoy your time in Netherlands. Give my regards to Michael. And Theo in Utrecht, and see you in the BJug soon. Thanks, Tom. Have great fun in Portugal.
I like the way you called it the love stream.
Yeah.
We love you all.
We love you all. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's like live stream. Oh well, that's fine. Let's see. Which is more faster, Maven or Gradle? I mean, that's not controversial. It's not really. It's Gradle, right? Like and
depends what you mean by faster. Does it build faster? Is it faster to develop with? Is it faster for you to put it together? If you're familiar with Maven will be faster.
Yeah, but okay, let's say you've got like a, what are your like itch scratch? And I'm very happy with Maven, but the Gradle daemon pays dividends.
Generally the performance. In my experience, before I worked for Gradle, I would still usually pick Gradle.
Yeah.
Because it's got build caching, it's got the daemon, which goes in the background. It's constantly updated with newer versions of Java. Benefits from a bunch of the performance improvements from Java as well. And yeah, I've just found, and it integrates well. I mean, they both integrate really well with the IntelliJ IDEA, but I just like the way it integrates with IntelliJ IDEA as well.
Right, and as Kunal just points out, Maven is definitely making leaps and bounds. They've got the Maven daemon now, which of course was inspired by the Gradle daemon, right? Maven D. So yeah, it's definitely getting there to the point where the differences are.
Yeah. I like the Gradle wrapper as well. I know that Maven's got a wrapper as well. And I know some people don't like the Gradle wrapper because it means putting some of your build stuff in the code. But what I like about it is when someone, the same as we were talking about DPE, when you download the project, you want everything there. You don't want any dependencies. You don't want to be downloading Gradle as well and downloading MongoDB or whatever. Just
start that Spring Gradle. When you use Gradle or Maven, we give you a reproducible build in the Maven wrapper and all that stuff. So it just makes a ton of sense, especially in the world of CI.
Yes, exactly.
I don't want to have anything installed in my CI box. I want my build to be everything it needs.
So I was just struggling a bit with CI because I was looking at. I've started to get familiar with GitHub Actions.
I love GitHub Actions.
But it's you who taught me about GitHub Actions, and you know why? Because I took your book build pipeline, the ASCII Doctor one, and we used it for our book.
And you made the project better even. I remember that
I did,
too.
but I need to finish committing those things back because I think I might have broken it at the moment. But it will be better. But you were using GitHub Actions, which I hadn't used before.
Yeah.
And that was really cool because you can configure your CI pipeline and stuff. However, today on the plane, actually, I was looking at Morphia, which also uses GitHub Actions.
Right.
And one of the things I found a bit frustrating, and it's not Morpheus' fault, I think it's a common thing in the projects I've seen, is that if you put a lot of your configuration in GitHub Actions for compiling, building, running your tests,
Yeah.
then when you download it locally, you don't get any of that stuff.
Have you seen Dagger?
I am aware of it from the Android world, right?
No, you're thinking of the dependency injection. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Dagger CI is this new thing from Solomon Hykes, the guy who created Docker.
Oh,
And basically it's GitHub Actions for local, and it's a completely reproducible
I like
GitHub
it.
Action thing. You can express your DSL using, I didn't know you could do it with TypeScript. So there's the programmatic version of your build.
Huh.
You can use JavaScript, you can use GraphQL. And so
Okay,
basically I don't know, whatever.
you should have a Kotlin version of that.
Yeah. And so but it all runs in your local machine. So and there's a GitHub Action integration for Dagger.
Right.
So you can say, okay, GitHub Actions, delegate to this.
Nice.
And so it's just a carrier for this.
And does it use like Docker to kind of spin up stuff?
Yep, it's all Docker.
Nice.
It's gonna do everything locally, and you can use pre-built tasks or like you know how you have GitHub Actions that are actually containers.
Yeah.
They get pulled in. You can use
Yeah.
the same thing here, right?
That's what I want. I want to be able to do that locally because GitHub Actions is nice because you just kind of say you have your configuration. I want one of these, spin this up and do that. And then when you download it locally, you don't have any of that stuff.
Right. And it feels.
And you have to sort of reproduce your CI locally or have different things. And I'm currently reading Mike Nygaard's Release It, the new version of Release It. It's really good.
Fantastic book.
And there's so much stuff in there about how, the last thing you want, and he said this in the original version, you want your development environment, your CI environment, your QA environment, your production environment to all be using the same types of configuration. You don't want them going off in 500 different directions.
Right. Yeah.
And Dave Farley says the same thing. That's the point about continuous delivery. It should be the same process from the development machine all the way through to production.
I tend to make my GitHub Actions as scalable as possible, and they just delegate the script files.
Yes.
Shell script files that are
Because then
hopefully meaningfully. Yeah, or at least do meaningfully named, compile, build, whatever. Release It. This is the second edition. I'm just pasting this in the chat for the two people that have somehow.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, like
I interviewed Mike Nygaard for the Go-To Book Club about Release It.
Oh wow.
So that's the YouTube video somewhere as well.
Oh, we gotta find
I love
that.
the way that we're doing live Googling on
That's okay.
No, it's good.
There's no show notes.
We should normalize it.
Yeah, I just want people to and I'm putting them on screen so that when people watch this, later on,
Yeah,
they don't have to have been in the chat.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know how to enable it so that people watching can post links. That's the other thing, is I'm not allowed to do that because they're worried about spam.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah, but I mean,
But if someone posts a link,
okay, there we go. So there's that. And then you did a video, you said, with
with Mike, it was Michael Nygaard, Go-To Book Club.
Yeah, come on, Josh, go to. I'm typing at like a 45-degree angle. It's very strange.
Here we go.
This one?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yes.
Okay. And paste. So good. Yeah, I completely agree. I think Dagger I'm going to try it out. I haven't tried it out yet because frankly, I quite like GitHub Actions, and I already do a good enough job of extracting out into scripts so that
So you can do stuff locally if you need to.
Yeah, but
one of the things that we've been trying to do with one of the pushes that you can do with Gradle Enterprise is to push towards build local. We've got some t-shirts for build local,
right?
Like shop local, but build local. Okay. Because why should you have to push everything up to CI to make sure that everything works?
Right.
You really want to be able to do at the very least some kind of bare minimum to make sure that everything's running.
Right.
Before having to push it to CI, I think. But if you've got a lot of stuff in GitHub Actions, you're going to have to rely on pushing it to GitHub to get your sanity check that everything's working. And of course, it's not always going to be scheduled straight away. It's just, your build might take a small amount of time.
Sure.
Actions,
which is irritating. But get kicked out of the flow.
Exactly. So it's all about flow. It all comes down to flow and context switching and fast feedback.
Whereas if I run it my machine, I'm the only operator. It is nice at the top of the priority list.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Not to mention latency. The other thing is, with Dagger, with GitHub Actions, so much of your build is hidden behind these inscrutable black box
Right.
GitHub
again,
Actions, which
if
are
something
a
breaks,
benefit.
you're like, I'm not sure what I broke. Did I break
Yeah,
something?
I don't know. And even GitHub itself, not very often. I'm not saying it happens a lot, but it does happen that even core GitHub Actions. So this is confusing. Do you remember that weird period of time where everything under the programming division of Microsoft was ended with .NET?
Yes.
So there you had .NET framework and .NET this IDE and .NET services and .NET
Yes.
messaging. Well, everything was .NET. So what I'm saying is GitHub Actions is the product you can sign up for and use for free on GitHub. But they
there
have
are
actions which are provided
GitHub
by
Actions.
that. Yeah, and these are just basically containers or programs that get run as steps in your build, right? So there are GitHub Actions, and some of them are great. I mean, really useful stuff that people have published under their own accounts.
Yeah.
And they just solve all sorts of problems, and they're like Lego bricks. But sometimes those change.
Right.
And
Sometimes they don't work with whatever else you're doing, or
you're using an ambient version of something else that you need to upgrade it to use their new one, and then suddenly they've changed it in the meantime as well.
yeah.
You know,
One of the other things we found with GitHub Actions, because we were using the free version when Helen and I were building the book,
Yeah.
Is with the free version, you have limited time and limited space as well. So sometimes we would get errors in our GitHub Actions.
Oh, you got
space.
it.
Yeah.
Space. Oh, like artifacts or something?
Yeah, because what we were doing is we were trying to save copies of the binaries of the artifacts of the book.
Oh, right.
And it got big. It was like 100 meg.
Oh, was that the one where you check it into the Git repository?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we were following your process of checking into the Git repository. And that worked. But then when there was a couple of edge cases,
Sure.
then I actually changed it. I moved a lot of what you were doing straight into GitHub Actions and started publishing it as an artifact instead of pushing it to a separate repository.
Right.
But then we ran a quota really quickly because there's only so much you can do.
Oh, I wonder if you could publish it as a package on GitHub packages. But how do you do private packages? I don't know. Whatever. There's also an S3 thing. The one I use is.
I know you had the S3 thing. I didn't
Right.
have S3, so I was like, I'm not doing that. I liked your GitHub one. It was pushing it to a GitHub branch.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, if you did a fetch of all the updates for the
you can
book,
see it.
you can see it. You know
Right.
that it's built successfully.
I need to build like a CLI. Like, remember, so for those lucky few who haven't done this, O'Reilly has a Atlas, and they have a command line tool, and you can actually say Atlas whatever, and it'll give you a preview of the PDF.
Yeah.
It'll kick off the job on the cloud somewhere, and then like a minute later it'll dump out a PDF, and I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to like.
I'm thinking about taking your build pipeline that you did for ASCII Doctor.
You and I helped, like you worked on it.
You did most of it. I'm thinking about taking that.
Bad stuff.
Oh, so I did when I actually. So your build pipeline we use in CI because it uses GitHub Actions and we kick it off straight away, and it means that we can see that we haven't broken the book with any of the changes we made to the script,
which is so valuable.
However, when the version we actually published, because it ended up being such a huge artifact, we run from the command line straight up ASCII Doctor command.
Okay.
To publish the ebook and the PDF, and we did a little bit of messing around with that. But I reckon I could probably simplify some of that and shove that straight into GitHub Actions without having to do as much as we're currently doing in the pipeline. Cool. I can't remember what it was though. I get that stuff.
Yeah. Anything to make it simpler would be great.
But it's all about feedback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I was doing something a bit dumb in terms of I had a bunch of binaries in our repo.
Binaries or artifacts like pub?
I had PDFs, but I had binaries because I was using InDesign to do some of the images, and I was saving the InDesign file in the repo. And then our build times were going they went from 5 minutes all the way up to 40 minutes. And I was like, what's taking all this time? It shouldn't take 40 minutes. This was one of these really interesting discovery things. I love looking at builds.
Right.
That's why I do this job.
Right.
And it turns out because the build pipeline just does a git fetch.
Right.
But it doesn't have a depth on it. So it gets all of the binaries since the beginning of time. It's taking like 25 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, that's such an easy mistake to make.
Right.
Not mistake, because it probably works for you. I just put a depth of.
Is that like in the Java code?
It was in the.
Because it's all Java.
A recent version of JGit.
Right.
You're using JGit to.
It's a little classic.
It's old, isn't it? I used it a long time ago. And I had to use a recent version which allows you to add depth
Oh, that would be a PR. That would be great to
I've
have.
got that. I want
Oh,
to submit that.
That's so cool, right?
It's
Like,
just- and it took the build time from like 40 minutes down to 5.
so my build didn't do great because I was all just text. I didn't have any.
It just works for you. Yeah.
InDesign
Yeah.
is awesome.
InDesign
Software.
is great. Yeah.
Super software. Like I'm,
Used it for Headfirst Java. That's how I started using it.
well, yeah, I mean, I used it for, I helped, I was the editor for the, school newspaper,
Right.
like things like that. Yeah, it's great. But that's another one of those things where, look, I know people on the stream right now are going to balk at this because it's all relative, but for Western Europe or for the States, $50 a month it's not nothing. But for
Achievable.
every piece of software Adobe makes,
Yeah.
and then for every piece of software that JetBrains makes for $50 each, it just seems like you could be a graphic designer and programmer and never be wanting for tools.
I bought
For $100.
InDesign. I bought it with a 12-month license.
Yeah.
But every year I think, should I buy Lightroom as well? Because I've got the classic license for Lightroom before they went to subscription.
Right.
And I use it for managing my photos. But it is one of those things where it's like, when you use it, it just makes your life so much easier.
So much better.
You just pay for it, right? Just pay for software, man. We're software developers. We should pay for software.
And I mean, you no longer work for them, so I'm not like buttering you up or anything. JetBrains is great about making it easy for people to get access to their bits, right? Like,
Yeah.
You can't go to, there was a time when I couldn't go to a Java user group and not get a free license.
Right.
They just gave them away, even before it was open source. There was no reason you couldn't get a license to IntelliJ.
Yeah.
For years, and it being open source is a relatively new thing in the last 10 years, whatever.
Yeah, I think 10 years, something like that.
And then even before that, I could just remember every Java user group. If you work in open source,
Yeah, exactly. If you work in open source, if you're a student or a teacher, if you work for a not-for-profit, I think. If you, like you said, user groups, if you're a user group, if you run a user group, you should, and you don't already get IntelliJ IDEA licenses, you should write to JetBrains and they'll give you a number of IntelliJ licenses to give away every month. Plus the organizers get free licenses.
It's really, and that's for the professional one. There is now an open source community edition, which is just fine for many things.
If you want to use Ultimate, just sign up for the EAP version. If you don't qualify for any other free version, just sign up for the early access because that's free.
Really? What a life hack.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There's only about 3 weeks of the year where there isn't an early access running. So you can pretty much use early access all year round. I mean, the early access can be, it's
early.
It's early access.
It's fine.
Sometimes you get some pop-ups with a bunch of errors in.
Which is fine.
That's life. If you don't want to pay for your software, you have to put up with a few errors popping up in your face.
And it works fine. I mean, no warranties or anything, but it works fine. So Simon is saying, if there was any chance for a short book on the making of the book.
Oh, yes.
You and I should do like a stream or something. Gosh, if we'd only thought of that, if only we
had planned that 40 minutes earlier.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Although let's get those PRs in.
Yes, I would like to need to go back to that because I've got it working again. It works on my machine.
Right.
And it works with our build. I realized how much I understood about Java when I realized that in order to get stuff working, I had to take class files and like move them into the package structure to get stuff to work because of things like, I think it was, for example, for this JGit thing, because JGit wasn't updated and I needed to like hack the source codes of JGit to allow me to do something. And it wasn't like hacky, but like you can do like package shadowing and stuff. And so you write the same class, but in the same package. And so it picks it up, the JVM picks it up ahead of the other one. So I did a bunch of that with some stuff to get that working. Anyway, so I have to figure out exactly what I did and get your thing working. But yes, I would love to do that. I did write a blog post on trishagee.com about some of the stuff that we used to put together the book. But it wasn't as in-depth as I wanted it to be because when I wrote it, I couldn't remember anything.
It was
right at the end of publishing the book. And I was like,
you're exhausted. I think I remember you writing a book is hard. Is that right? 1 December 2022?
It's probably the one after that. Which is probably, hold on. There'll be tools and processes for collaborating on a book. Oh, that was about using code with me, actually.
Oh, cool.
But I think it might also have been, sorry, I'm just taking over your thing.
We're looking for the blogs.
GitHub repositories. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
And look, Bootiful, ASCII.Python, all of that stuff. So that's the one.
That's a start. I pay and still often use
The EAP. Me
EAP.
too.
Uh,
I stopped using the EAP. When I joined Gradle, I stopped using the EAP for JetBrains for IntelliJ IDEA because I was like, I don't have to use the EAP anymore.
right.
Because I always used to have to use it to get the new features.
Right.
But I sort of miss it because it's nice having the new stuff earlier. And I'm using the new UI because you were using the new UI.
I love the new UI.
Because I couldn't use the new UI because when we were writing the book, it needed to be the classic UI.
Right.
So I couldn't use it. And I was also a bit like, I don't want the new UI. Like, and then you were using it. I was like, oh, this is really nice.
It's slick. It's nice and streamlined, and it kind of just gets out of your way. And
It's lovely.
it's like Fleet minus. I'm waiting for Fleet, but Fleet is just not there yet.
Fleet is not my thing. Not because it's just I'm not the target audience. I'm used to an old-fashioned chunky Java IDE, you know, and
Well, Fleet's still Java, right?
Yeah, but I haven't used VS Code or anything like that. So I haven't used any lightweight editors. So I'm like, where is all my stuff?
Okay, so I think so for me, it's chasing a market that I didn't think I was a part of until I wrote a book,
Right.
which is I might want to develop different things at the same time.
Yes.
And so,
okay.
So for example, IntelliJ is a great way to write Java code.
Yes.
It has a very good ASCII editor. That
the plugin is so good.
It is, but it was plagued for a long time with memory issues, and I'd
Right.
have to occasionally shut down IntelliJ. And plus, it's just not as fast as like Sublime,
Right.
And I don't need the visualization. I just want to like type.
Yeah,
If I have to wait for the thing to render 20 pages, it just like crawl.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, look, this is great, but I would just use Sublime. I'm happy there for writing text or Emacs. Actually, I wrote a good chunk of my book
Right.
in Emacs. That's a text editor, not a Java IDE. Right?
Yeah.
I don't need to launch this 2 GB thing when I can just use this 2 MB.
I never had we did it all in IntelliJ, but having said that, I did use a preview quite a lot.
Yeah.
And
Quite nice.
Helen and I were using Code with Me to do pair programming on it.
Which is
pair writing.
Oh, see, that's valuable. I was just
It's
me and
totally
voices.
worth it. Yeah.
I was by myself, you know.
Helen was my voice. No, Trish, don't do that. Too much information.
Oh dear. Oh, you poor thing.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know, I had two tool windows, and you know how it is. Like, now my other tool window is ChatGPT, and I saw a plugin for IntelliJ, and I'm like, oh,
Yes, I saw that yesterday.
that's ridiculous. I'm in trouble. Like, if they make it that easy to plug that in,
I'm torn about ChatGPT.
oh,
I'm a little bit old school on it. Like, I don't need no help with nothing.
I
But then on the other hand, I was talking to Justin Rioch about it, and he was like, he has tried it for writing copy, blog posts and stuff. And I was like, how dare you? I can write my own copy. But then I realized that what I use Helen for is I tell Helen all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then she puts it into a form, and then I go in and correct it and make it the way that I want it to be. And I'm like, I don't need Helen anymore. Sorry, Helen.
Well, I'm sure she's happy to be.
But because then we can parallelize. Like, she can do her thing and I can do my thing, and we can use ChatGPT to do stuff together.
Helen GPT. Yeah.
GPT.
I quite like ChatGPT just because it's not like I can get it to do the whole thing, but if it's just like meaningless, the one I keep going back to was when it first dawned on me how powerful this was. I had a JSON stanza, and I was like, I don't want to. I got to write code to parse it with Jackson. It's not going to be hard. It'll be like 15-20 minutes.
Have you tried it with finding regular expressions? Because that sounds like a good thing to do.
I'm sure it could do that, but I just gave it the stanza and it said, give me a parser, and it did. And I said, and then it took the parser and I said, now write me a unit test, and it did.
Yeah.
Worked flawlessly the first time. I'm like,
nice.
That's just free. It's free 20 minutes of my life back, you know.
Yeah, that's DPE.
That's real, right? Exactly. It's just AI. So that's why I developed Gradle Enterprise is, you know, I'm really all in on that now that I see the possibility of like having this sentient, or not, sorry, did I say sentient? Having
intelligent
service, you know, monitoring the sentient service, monitoring my build.
Right.
You know, it's not sentient.
It's not sentient
yet.
You need humans to do the actual, like, what does this mean?
For now. Yeah. Wink. Yeah, it's gonna be fine.
I feel like I nearly missed my window to put the link to a 10% discount on my book.
Oh, right. I was supposed to prompt you.
I know, but the fact that we spoke about it was good enough. Which I have not mentioned by name. It's Getting to Know IntelliJ IDEA by Trisha Gee and Helen Scott.
Right.
And
the reason you're qualified to do this is because besides being amazing engineers, and also working at JetBrains for a good spell, you're there
7 years.
Right.
And so I did that. You know, I knew IntelliJ IDEA really well before I got to JetBrains, and then I got to know it even better.
I'm going to put this link on screen, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So
And that'll give you 10% off the book.
10%.
Yeah.
That's good.
But if you're a student, you should get in touch because we've got deals for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a great book. I've read it.
you?
And lots of it because you gave me a copy and I felt like I needed to.
You have to
Yeah,
read it
I was
just because I give you a
very-
copy.
I mean, it was like I plus I remember all the discussions around synchronizing the images and making sure they lined up with everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, if it's a visual thing, it sounded like you put a lot of work into the images. So I wanted to I figured it couldn't be that text heavy if it's a lot of images.
There's
I
a
can
lot of
do
images.
images.
Yeah.
Images make me feel better. I'm a very simple person, colored pixels, good, text bad, so
I got to say that so I was all on board with doing Lean Pub because when I spoke to you about kicking off the book a couple of
Right.
years ago, you
was it
said
a couple of years ago already.
it took us 2 years to write the book. It was ridiculous. And you said to us, it's going to take you way longer to write the book than you think. And we were like, yeah. We can do this by the end of the year. This
Sure.
is in 2020 and we're
Fingers
released it in
crossed.
2022. So yeah, it took us a while. But you were the one who said, Lean Pub's great and you can do the physical copy on KDP,
Yeah.
Kindle Desktop Publishing. And because you had that in the build pipeline as well, but it's a bit complicated because you need a Kindle thing and it's a little bit like,
Kindle Gen.
I was like, oh, I don't care about that. But they've changed their processes and you just upload a PDF and then they just print the book for you. And that was
effing finally.
absolutely brilliant. I mean, I spent quite a lot of time going through and making sure the page breaks are in the right places
Right.
because ASCII Doctor does not do that for you. But having the physical book, when you're talking about the graphics and how it looks and
Right.
like and laying out, like having the physical book is just so much more gratifying. But do buy the ebook because that's what the discount is for.
Right.
But it is nice to have this book in your hands.
And generally those are cheaper anyway, like ebooks.
Ebooks are cheaper, yeah.
And also, not that you should care in your buying decision, dear audience, but at least for my book, I make more money when you buy the
Lean Pub
ebook.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the Amazon famously not very generous.
It's not very, and the money goes to Amazon too.
Yeah,
I was really torn about putting it on Amazon because I'm not a big fan. I feel like they should pay their warehouse staff a lot more.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. And the delivery and all that. Yeah.
But
anyway,
that's a bit political, but I'm not a big fan.
It's not really important. I mean, I don't think we should be.
I don't think it's political to say people
Shouldn't
deserve
be in the car.
They deserve to earn a good living wage for doing a good job.
Fine. I just didn't want to get all depressed. Like,
yes,
there's nothing objectionable to the idea that you're espousing or that I'm espousing. It's just kind of a bummer here in Amsterdam. It's nice. It was
supposed to be raining
today, and it was great today. It's not. It's a bit windy.
I looked at the weather because I've come from Seville where it's currently 27 degrees C. And it said it was going to be 11 degrees and raining. And I was like, what am I doing? What did Simon say? I didn't see what he said. He's currently reading it.
Yeah. Interesting read, he says, and and by the way, that weather. Oh, it's perfect. Nice. I pinned his.
I know.
His kind comment. He says,
I
currently
didn't have
reading
my
it
glasses on,
myself.
so I have to read it like this.
Oh, he said, currently reading it myself. Interesting read and nice alongside some recent IntelliJ talks. The new UI is pretty neat.
The new UI is nice.
Yeah.
And when it is the default on.
You'll update the book, maybe?
We'll update the book. That's the plan. The book is still like 90% relevant anyway. The main thing would be not so much about positions of buttons, but more like if the flow of things has changed.
Right. Or the menu options or whatever.
Yeah, but like most of that still, when I switched to the new UI, I was expecting to be more like, where is all my stuff? But because I tend to hide everything away anyway and use keyboard shortcuts, it doesn't make that much difference.
It's actually what I want because I know the key. Like you, by the way, I like you. I know my key commands.
Right.
Unlike you, I learned this from you. I also now show the key presenter thing.
Yeah, present. Yes.
Yeah, whatever that is called.
Present. No, it's not called presenter mode. I can't remember anything. I feel like my brain fell asleep today. It's not presentation mode. Yes. Not key presenter. Key presenter X. It used to be key promoter. No, that's a different thing. That's so that you can learn the keyboard shortcuts.
Right. No, there's something that allows people who are on stage showing code in the IDE to pop up a little tooltip showing
presentation assistant.
That sure, yeah.
Presentation assistant is a plugin for IntelliJ.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. And again, it's not like I need to learn. It's a very niche use case, which is
for presenters,
for people who are watching us code.
Yeah, or pair programming.
Right, pair programming.
I learned most of my stuff pairing with people like Dave Farley,
sure.
And they were like doing stuff with the IDE. I was like, stop! Yeah. What did you just do? Yeah.
Why is the computer on fire?
Yes.
How did this happen? Okay, as a fervent defender, Alexander says, I'm afraid about the current use in the future code because without checking it, it can introduce some blind security problems in the code.
Are we talking about chat
I
GPT?
suspect.
So I'm a big believer in TDD too.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could use chat GPT the other way around. What if you wrote your tests first and then got chat GPT to generate your code for you? Instead of generating tests for your code.
I mean, I suspect because it can do one, it probably
Yeah.
can
Well,
backwards track and do the other
It
one.
would make way more sense to me because I'm a big believer in TDD.
Yeah.
It makes way more sense for me to outline all the happy paths and then more importantly, all the unhappy paths. And you shouldn't do this and don't do that. And if someone puts one of these in, it's going to break. And you could write all your tests first and then say to ChatGPT, write something which passes all these tests. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but
Wow,
it would be
that would
lovely
be-
to know.
Because I'd be writing my TDD in terms of like an interface, right? And so
Right,
so it would have to synthesize the implementation,
right,
including knowing which dependencies are going to be required to make that implementation do its tricks.
right.
You'd have to be like,
Because I mean, one of the things I like about IntelliJ is it works so well for TDD because
Yeah.
you write your tests and
Imagine the-
generate your API, and you don't
Yeah.
have to do your implementations. You just sort of say,
Right.
you stub out your API, and then all your code compiles. But
Well,
your test should
speak for yourself.
and then you can get ChatGPT to just write your implementations.
That'd be amazing.
I think that would be a better way around. In my personal, I would not trust tests written by a bot.
Yet. Well, I do trust it. I mean, the test will.
I don't trust tests which are written afterwards, full stop.
Sure.
Because as a developer, you do tend to go, I'm just going to write the tests that are going to pass because I know what the code does. I love TDD because I always used to second guess myself. I'd write some code and then I'd be like, but what if? And then what if? And what if? And that's exactly what you codify in your
Right.
TDD. Like, okay, it should not fall over when someone puts a negative number in, or
Yeah.
should strip white spaces. Don't you hate web forms that don't strip white spaces off your whatever, off your password or whatever? For goodness sake, you write those tests for that sort of thing.
Okay, we have more. So I still don't understand the question, but it's nice that we're clear about what I don't understand. By the way, good morning from Brazil.
Oh, hello.
Hello, good afternoon from Amsterdam. And I am confusing Gradle config with module directives. How can I map Java module directives and Gradle configurations to declare dependencies? I don't understand.
I know what Java module directive. You mean like Java module directives? You mean like in Java 9 modules?
JPMS?
Yeah, JPMS.
What does the export directive correspond to in Gradle?
In JPMS, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I do have a project which uses Java modules and multiple Gradle modules.
Yeah. So it's kind of possible.
I could actually just, I'm just taking
Please.
over again. I don't know if it's going to answer the question, but maybe it's a starting point. GitHub. Oh my God, I'm already on GitHub. I can't type. What's wrong with me today?
Is my keyboard
Maybe
the same as yours? 'Cause, like if you're in France, it's definitely not, right?
I want to say yes.
Do you use the Azerty in Spain, or is that just the French?
I try and get a British keyboard
Oh, okay.
because I don't need the Enya specifically. And the Enya is always where the colons are, which freaks me out because that's supposed to be a colon. So let me have a look. I think this is the one I'm thinking of. And I've got Java 9. Let me just and put this in here. And
Okay.
so if we show that.
Yep, show it.
So I have a project here which has got, it uses Java modules from the newish Java module system.
Right.
And Gradle. When I took my selfie in the airport today, I was like, oh my God, there's loads of wrinkles there.
Do you have thread.sleep is a native method? What does that mean?
Don't use thread.sleep.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it means, but don't use thread.sleep. It's a very good way to make your code terrible at performance.
Yeah. I just noticed that we're actually sat next to a bathroom.
It's great, isn't it?
It's not great. No, some things shouldn't be open sourced. Okay. So as also native methods just, is it public native, like a JNI method? Is that what he's saying?
I don't think it is though, is it?
I don't know. I have no idea what it's
We
doing.
sound really stupid, don't we? We
Well-
do know how to program in Java, don't we?
I've been told we're okay, but I don't, I'm less convinced every day. And now that that robot's out there doing things that I can't do, I'm,
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
can do really smart stuff like say, don't do it that way.
yeah, try again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is, we might have an answer for this. Do you have hands-on videos with intelligent TDD?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to do one of these since right at the beginning of working at JetBrains. I definitely have done this.
Mhm.
Which of the 75 videos I did for JetBrains is, I don't think I called it IntelliJ TDD. I think I might have done it in, let's see if we can Google this as well. YouTube, oops. Oh, you know what, I'm not going to YouTube, I'm just going to Google it.
Yeah.
I think it was Trisha, IntelliJ, unit testing. I did do some there. Unit testing and coverage.
Could do.
I might have done it in this one, but I've definitely, I
He'll be
definitely
in the right
have
place.
covered it. I won't have called it TDD and IntelliJ idea because a lot of people aren't very happy about TDD.
Mhm.
And so I didn't really want to, I just do it really sneakily. Like in the book, the tutorials, I did those as TDD. I was like, you are going to write your tests first.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to buy the book, we do TDD in the book.
Nice. So the book is kind of like with all those pictures and TDD, it's kind of like a printed YouTube video. It's going to be
Yeah.
instructional and
And then we point to, at the end of each chapter, we point to the various YouTube videos we already have.
so
Because
good.
like the book was quite hard because I'm so used to doing stuff with video now after
Yeah.
doing it for 7 years, and you just show this and do that. And the book is like, well, I'm not going to show a screenshot for everything. How do I give people an idea of the flow?
Right.
So we tried not to reproduce any videos in the book. We tried to give people like pointers and then say, here's the video which shows that.
Right.
There's a bunch of other videos here Helen and I would like to do that the book kind of exposed that there were videos that we haven't covered before. And I think probably TDD and IntelliJ idea is probably one of them.
Could be great. I for if you don't mind, my particular bend on TDD is out there if anybody cares. Get something out of it. Probably not. But
Nice.
just put that there in case. By the way, that you just struck at something that is like very real, which is, do you ever look at the list of videos that you might do and go, oh, there's just no way.
Yeah.
I'll never get it. There's just a million topics I would love to do a video on.
The 7 years that I worked at JetBrains, my list of videos I needed to do
Got
got
longer.
longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because you're
And
always
especially-
thinking,
You're always thinking you get more videos you want to do. And then of course, on top of that, your videos become a little bit out of date.
of course.
So like I had to, one of my most popular videos is actually Gradle and IntelliJ idea.
Mhm.
And I don't remember if I ever actually got around to re-recording that, but that needed to be redone because everything changed. And I was like, well, it's fine. It'll probably be okay. I'd rather do some new stuff than keep re-recording the old things.
It's a bit of a bummer because YouTube is not conducive to like maintaining a video. You can't tend it. Once it's
Right.
out there, it's done.
Like with a blog post, you can update it.
Yeah, and say
And even books you
yeah.
can update. You know, you
sure,
second
second
edition.
Yeah,
But a video, it's like, yeah, no, it's just not relevant anymore.
yeah.
It's not really true. You want to be able to, one of the things I do with my videos is try and put it in segments. And the idea being that maybe you might want to re-record some of those segments, but you never do. in the end.
Never. But like I get that YouTube doesn't want people like saying something stupid and then disavowing
Right.
having said that by producing a new video.
Right.
Right. But just let me just keep the two versions. Show
Yeah.
version 2 by default, but let there be a drop down showing version 1.
Right.
And that way I don't
That
have to
would be
like
great.
lose and then send a notification to people saying, hey, updated version of your video has been
Yeah,
updated.
that would be great.
Wouldn't that solve the problem? Like people are still being held to account. You can't say
You
stupid things without
should
being
be able to
embarrassed.
say second edition,
Yeah.
the same way you do with a book.
Or even a sequel, you know?
Yeah, a sequel, yeah.
Yeah, there's more to
Because you can do
tell.
series, but that's not really the same thing. A series would be, I mean, I did a tutorial on the stuff that we did together.
Right.
And I did that as a 10-piece series.
The reactive
Reactive Spring
Java
Boost
effects.
Java effects
so
thing.
cool.
It was
That's
fun.
fun.
I still use that. I'm going to be using it in the Utrecht demo tonight, actually, because it's one of the few Maven projects I've got. Because you wrote it.
Sorry. Well,
No, it's good because I can use it in the, as
We
a
should-
Maven demo.
Oh, is that because you're going to talk about? Oh, wait, I don't want to spoil the
I'm going
plot.
to speed up. I'm going to hopefully this time to do a bit of live code. I'm going to use Gradle Enterprise to speed up the Maven build.
I can't wait. Which, and speaking of, I don't think they can wait either. So we probably need to like wrap this up and
I'm
get ready for.
supposed to be being picked up.
Yeah, just momentarily.
Oh, hang on, here he is.
Anybody else have any questions? Going once?
15 minutes late, so yeah.
Okay.
What a lovely audience you've been.
They're also great. We have the best community, this Java community. I got here late. So which book you're referring to? Is it available already? It is available already. It's called Getting to Know IntelliJ IDEA. And it is a fantastic book.
It is a
Thumbs up.
fantastic.
I'm going to paste that. Whoop, there you go. There's the LeanPub. If you go to that link there on the screen, leanpub.com/getting to know IntelliJ IDEA, all lowercase, no space, /C/A, capital E, D, 0, HR, GS, capital B, 9R0.
I'm impressed.
You'll get
10% discount.
10% discount, which is worth it. Because money is, that's inflation is insane. Like, need
That's no
a
joke.
bank loan to buy eggs now. So yeah, enjoy. And then what else do we get? What else? What I watch is that German.
That the dev community is still continuing to discuss about TDD, but the next level kind of evolution is TCR. Oh, I don't know what TCR is.
Test container. What is TCR? Jeez, I'm scared.
Don't Google random acronyms.
Techniek College Rotterdam.
I don't think it's
No, okay. T cell receptors.
maybe it's test chat GPT repeat.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds about right. Well, on that bombshell.
We just invented a new paradigm.
Yeah, does IntelliJ IDEA by JetBrains got silver play button? You mean the YouTube channel? Like the
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means. Isn't that is that the prize you get for like a number of subscribers or whatever?
Really? I don't know, but they did just go over 100,000
Right.
subscribers.
Maybe that's the thing to achieve. Test, commit, revert.
Oh,
Simon needs to do a video and teach me.
yeah.
Come on, man. Ooh.
What now? Here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Not-
jump on and give us a demo.
Yeah, we'll be back in an hour. No, I don't know. Let's go learn that and do a video. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, what could go wrong? Yes. So anyway, and by the way, if they did cross 100,000, congrats. Well earned. Good job.
We worked hard for that.
Yeah, I'm sure you all did. It's a great channel. With that, thank you.
Thank you. It's always fun.
Always fun. And it's for us, it's gonna keep going for all of you. Unless you're at the jug tonight,
Yeah.
then
In which case, come and say hello.
Yeah.
See.
hope you had fun. Bye, everybody.